step out of the car for me, please. Step out of the car for me. Hey, step out of the car. Don't be warned.
Suspects down, laying down.
Tonight, we breaking down a high-risk police encounter in Houston that escalated from a vehicle pursuit into an armed confrontation. The bodycam footage is intense, and it shows just how quickly a roadside stop can turn into a life-threatening situation, and how officers make split-second decisions under extreme pressure.
Hey, I've got him over here. Put the gun down! Son of a... He just shot at me. He just shot at me.
Hey, ceasefire! Ceasefire! Suspects down! Hold on. Here.
Let's set the scene. Patrol units are already on high alert. Dispatch has flagged a wanted suspect, someone connected to prior violent offenses. Officers have the vehicle details and are getting live location updates. You can feel the tension in the radio traffic. It's controlled but urgent. The communication is short, clipped, with no wasted words. That alone tells you this is not a routine stop. An officer spots the suspect's vehicle near West 34th Street. The driver matches the description. But instead of initiating an immediate, aggressive stop, the officer follows at a measured distance, confirming identifiers. This is standard procedure: verification first, confrontation second. Once confirmed, the officer requests backup units before activating the lights. That decision will prove critical later on. The moment the emergency lights flash on, the suspect reacts instantly, accelerating hard and weaving through traffic. The chase is on. On the bodycam audio, you can hear the officers' breathing change, their voice tightening as the speed climbs. Intersections blur past. Other drivers pull aside. Sirens start to stack as more units join the pursuit. It's fast, but it's controlled. Officers are continuously reporting their direction, speed, and traffic conditions, allowing supervisors to decide whether to continue or terminate the chase for safety reasons. This goes on for several minutes. The suspect is clearly desperate to escape, splitting lanes, making abrupt turns, and trying to create distance. The officers maintain their spacing, avoiding the temptation to crowd the vehicle. This is a deliberate tactic to reduce the risk of a crash and to avoid crossfire danger if things escalate. And then, the turning point. Near West 34th Street, the suspect's vehicle suddenly slows and makes a sharp, unstable maneuver into a roadside area. It's not a clean stop, it's abrupt and chaotic. Officers recognize this pattern. Suspects often end pursuits this way to force a disorganized, dangerous confrontation. The units position themselves carefully, angled, staggered, using their vehicles as partial cover. Doors fly open. Commands begin immediately, loud and clear. Show your hands. Exit the vehicle. Do it now. The bodycam footage shows officers aren't rushing blindly toward the car. They're maintaining distance and cover. That space is critical. It buys them precious reaction time. Instead of complying, the suspect moves unpredictably inside the vehicle. The officers repeat their commands, their tone escalating. One officer warns the others over the radio about the suspect's wanted status for violent crimes. This changes the threat assessment in real time. Everyone knows this could go bad. Then, shots are fired. The audio spike on the bodycam is sharp and disorienting. Officers shout directions to each other while moving to better cover positions. No one is standing exposed. You can hear overlapping commands, some directed at the suspect, some at fellow officers. This is what a real engagement sounds like: chaotic, but structured by training. What really stands out is the communication discipline. Even with gunfire erupting, officers are still transmitting vital information: suspect position, officer position, status checks. This level of coordination is what prevents friendly fire incidents and keeps arriving units informed of the situation as it unfolds. The suspect attempts to continue fighting rather than surrendering. Officers respond with controlled fire, not panic shooting, but measured bursts fired between movements to cover. This is a detail that often gets missed by viewers watching edited news clips. In the raw footage, you can see officers pause, reassess their targets, and reposition themselves instead of just emptying their weapons blindly. Within seconds, the intensity peaks and then begins to drop. The commands shift from confrontation to control. Drop it. Don't move. Hands where we can see them. Once the suspect is down and no longer presenting an immediate threat, the officers don't rush in recklessly. They hold their angles, verify the weapon is out of reach, and wait for confirmation before approaching. This is another procedural safeguard. Many officers are injured when they approach too soon after a shooting. A request for medical response goes out immediately. You can hear the tone shift again, from combat stress to emergency aid mode. The officers seamlessly transition their roles from engagement to scene security and first aid support. One officer maintains verbal control over the scene while another updates dispatch. A third begins coordinating perimeter security. Each officer falls into a specific task without needing a lengthy discussion. That's the result of training and repetition. The bodycam also captures the emotional aftershock. You can hear heavier breathing, a slight tremor in the voices, and repeated status confirmations. A real incident doesn't just end when the gunfire stops. The physiological stress remains incredibly high for several minutes afterward. Backup units flood the area. Supervisors arrive. The scene becomes structured very quickly. Weapon recovery, checking the suspect's status, checking the officer's wellness, controlling witnesses, and locking down the roadway. These steps might look procedural, but they are essential for preserving the integrity of the evidence and ensuring officer safety. From an analysis standpoint, several key factors shape this outcome. First, the pre-stop verification and the call for backup. The initiating officer didn't rush the stop alone, which prevented an isolated confrontation with an armed suspect. Second, the pursuit spacing. The units avoided bunching up, which reduced both collision and crossfire risks when the chase ended. Third, vehicle positioning at the stop. Angling the cars created cover and better visibility, unlike a straight-line approach. Fourth, command repetition. Even though the suspect ignored them, the repeated lawful commands established legal and tactical clarity. And fifth, a controlled response instead of an emotional reaction. Despite the immediate threat, the officers maintained their rhythm of move, cover, and communicate, rather than freezing up or charging forward. It's also important to address what viewers often misunderstand about the bodycam perspective. The camera angle can compress distance and distort timing. Events that look instant on video often involve multiple threat cues that officers are trained to recognize: subtle hand movements, shifts in posture, the brief visibility of a weapon, and patterns of noncompliance. Officers are reacting to a much broader threat picture than what a single camera lens can show. Another overlooked detail is auditory overload. Gunfire sounds much closer and louder on bodycam microphones than it does in reality. In the middle of all that, officers must still process radio traffic, the movements of their partners, and the suspect's behavior, all at the same time. The cognitive load is extreme. After the scene is stabilized, the standard post-incident protocol begins. Officers are separated for statements, their weapons are documented, and they undergo a medical evaluation. This part is rarely shown in public releases, but it's crucial for the transparency of the investigation. For viewers, the major takeaway here is how fast an escalation can happen once a suspect decides not to surrender. The entire transition from a vehicle stop to an armed confrontation took only seconds, not minutes. There's no long negotiation window when a weapon appears. This footage also shows why departments emphasize de-escalation whenever possible, but also why they train for readiness when it fails. De-escalation requires participation from both sides. When one side commits to violence, the response model has to shift immediately to neutralizing the threat and protecting public safety. Another point worth noting is the environment. The stop occurred in a mixed roadway zone rather than a dense pedestrian area. While this isn't always controllable, officers often try, when feasible, to manage where a pursuit ends to reduce civilian exposure. In post-release reviews, videos like this are examined frame by frame by investigators, trainers, and policy reviewers. They aren't just for legal review. They're used for training improvements, to refine positioning, timing, communication clarity, and equipment performance. Bodycam footage like this is difficult to watch, but it provides a rare and transparent look into real-time policing decisions. It shows the gap between scripted expectations and the unpredictable reality of the streets. Encounters don't follow neat timelines. They pivot on human behavior, and when a wanted suspect chooses confrontation over surrender, the outcome becomes dangerous for everyone involved. That's the end of this breakdown. Thanks for watching.